Hi, I'm Jenny Ratcliffe, and I did my media history or mass media history interview with my father, Mitch Ratcliffe, who has worked in media and journalism for many years and was born in the early 60s. He is 59 and has a lot to say about media. In my father's lifetime, TV went from having three or four channels to having over 1,000. He remembers when he first saw color television. I believe he said it was Hawaii 5-0, the crashing tidal wave in the opening credits. He remembers when channels started coming out more and more. He remembers through the 70s when they were getting more. It was like 20 to 30, and then by the 80s, the end of the 80s, there were 85 channels, and they were talking about getting to 500. And now there are over 1,000 channels, which is absolutely astonishing.
And I remember when I first saw color television, and it was astonishing. Uh, the first thing I ever saw in color was the opening scene credits of Hawaii 5-0, which was a crashing wave, and it was in color. And then I saw The Wizard of Oz in color on TV. And these were astonishing things. It's hard to understand how far we've traveled in media. So in the 70s, cable came along, and you started to see, maybe 20 or 30 channels available. By the late 80s, when I was covering early media evolution for MacWeek and for digital media, we were up to about 80, 85 channels, and we were talking about getting to 500. And now there are more than 1,000 channels.
When asked how media compared to his parents' generation, my father said that even in the last 50 years, let alone 100 years, media has changed quite a bit. His father used to go to the cinema to watch weekly serials and cowboy movies. They used to listen to the radio. News stories used to take a week to get around here from the other side of the world. And these days, you can do that in an instant. You can stream what they would have gone to the cinema to see. And even when my father was a child, you couldn't do that. There wasn't so much to watch, there wasn't so much to read. And now, since the last 50 years, let alone 100, media has changed so much and is so much faster and is so much more accessible. It's amazing.
I would say it's changed completely in my lifetime too. Everything is faster. You find out about things within seconds of them happening all over the world, and that's utterly different. So I wouldn't discount the fact that everything has changed completely since the early 1960s. Compared to my parents' time, where newspapers took a week to get information that happened on the other side of the world, the only thing they had to listen to was the radio, and there might have been 3 or 4 networks on to check, to listen to. And you went to the cinema to see movies that were released basically every week, serials and cowboy pictures and things like that, that were like what we get used to watching on TV as a series today. So you would become a fan of a particular series and keep going back. Like my dad loved Gene Autry films, who was a singing cowboy.
When asked if the rapid development of mass media could create gaps in generations, my father said it depended on how the household treated it. If they embraced it, it was less likely to create a gap in generations, but if they did not, it was likely to create a larger gap. But that depended wholly upon the family and how they treated media in the first place.
I think that between people, between generations, even in the same household, that were not tuned into the changes in the importance of what was happening to media, unlike our household, where I was always thinking about it, and not only running a magazine or a financial news network, but just, in terms of simple things like what we would watch and what we would do. So we let you guys use the internet in a way that I think a lot of parents would have been frightened to do, because we were pretty confident you could control it. On the other hand, a home without that, where, for instance, the parents don't get a mobile phone until after the kids do, or the parents only have a mobile phone and the kids embrace the computer and learn how to code. There's a very different relationship with the media or the technology of media in those homes, which can create a real chasm.
Even in the past 10 years, the development of media is astonishingly quick. I remember when smartphones first came into existence, and now there are these thin, lovely little devices all of us carry around to use. Many apps have come into existence. Vine came and went. TikTok is the current thing. Instagram, there are plenty of things where we share ourselves and we put ourselves out into the media, which never would have been possible in the past. Media has developed at an astonishing rate and will continue to do so more likely than not. Looking at the history of media just makes that clearer. Doing an interview with my father was an eye-opening experience about media history and where it's going in the future. It's fascinating to look at where we came from and where we're probably going, and how we will continue to develop media and reach for more and more and achieve so many things and continue to innovate and create and connect people through media.